With General Jack Vessey, the retired former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, as the lead presidential representative on POW and MIA issues, we made a number of trips with him to Hanoi. And on one, we took Senator John McCain with us. Wow, what a moment of General Vessey, his incredibly distinguished career. Senator McCain, been one of the longest held POWs during the Vietnam War. Now riding on the plane, these long trips, we'd fly to Alaska, spend a night at Elmendorf Air Force Base, and then fly on into Vietnam. And you had hours and hours of hearing them tell stories, interact. One particularly interesting and somewhat humorous moment, when we got to Hanoi, this was McCain, one of McCain's very first trips back ever. And he, like many of the veterans, interestingly, even though he had suffered so much, he had been treated so badly while a prisoner, he seemed to have put that behind him. He never forgot, but he didn't let it impact him. And I saw that in many military veterans who had served in combat on the ground. They could get beyond the outcome of the Vietnam War a little easier than some of the policy people who were never on the ground fighting, but who still Americans remain very hurt by the outcome and never had more trouble getting past it. Anyway, we're there in Hanoi, and the Vietnamese, as a special gesture, want to take us, our party and delegation, to a place in Hanoi where then pilot John McCain had parachuted out of his plane that had been hit by an anti-aircraft rocket. To save himself, he had a bailout. He parachutes down into a lake in Hanoi and is captured there and taken to prison, where he would remain for years. And the Vietnamese have erected a monument to recall the fact that Senator McCain, then pilot John McCain, and he was a Navy pilot and very, very proud of that, and had crashed. And so this was meant to be a nice gesture on their part. It's a historic event. He was a celebrated historic figure because he's a United States Senator, very, very prominent son of a Navy admiral, a hero, very courageous, suffered a lot. The Vietnamese built this monument, historic marker, about where his plane had crashed. So McCain, we had stopped in Honolulu, and we had met with senior naval officers, and McCain talked about how proud he was of his naval background. He graduated from the Naval Academy in Annapolis. And we get there, and we're taken out to the monument. So here we got the American team with us, the Vietnamese deliver us there, General Vessey's there, Senator McCain, and the monument's written in Vietnamese. And so I'm brought to the front, being the Vietnamese speaker, to translate what's written on the monument. So I'm reading it there and reading it to Senator McCain and others, and it went something like, on this day in 1967 or whatever the year was, John McCain, plane is shot down. And when they give his name, they refer to him as U.S. Air Force pilot John McCain. And when I translate that, McCain, who had a big smile on his face, as I was reading the monument, and he was touched that they had set this up. When I said U.S. Air Force pilot, suddenly McCain turned and got this sort of surprised look, and the smile vanished. because sort of the worst thing you could say about him as a Navy pilot was that he was an Air Force pilot, because the rivalry, the good-natured rivalry inside the U.S. military between Air Force pilots and Navy pilots was such that they were all, boasting about their service and which one was better. And so the Vietnamese meant this to be nice, but didn't understand there were Navy pilots and Air Force pilots, and describing it of him. So McCain wasn't really hurt, but he certainly, acted that way, and had everyone else in the group laughing when he said, "Yeah, it's the worst thing they could say about me that I was an Air Force pilot." So sometimes there could be light moments on trips, traveling with incredible war heroes like General Vessey and Senator McCain.